Hi, I'm BRITT ADKINS, and I'll be presenting Space, Urban Planning, and the Cultural Commons. And as a little bit of background about myself, I'm the founder of Celestial Citizen, the first space urban planner, host of the Celestial Citizen podcast, and I have a background in urban planning, space resources, and architecture. I'm passionate about the intersection of urban planning, science, engineering, and social justice. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the new discipline of space urban planning and how it can encourage a resilient cultural commons in space through the inclusion of meaningful public participation. And I want to begin with this opening thought. When we consider humanity's future in space, we must also consider the deep importance of shared cultural heritage in the cosmos as a way of promoting peaceful coexistence and cooperation beyond Earth. So how do we protect and encourage the creation of a cultural commons? Well, the answer is space urban planning. But first, it might be helpful to better understand what urban planning actually is. Professor Feinstein of Harvard defines urban planning as the design and regulation of the uses of space that focus on the physical form, economic functions, and social impacts of the urban environment and on the location of different activities within it. And because it is invariably a transdisciplinary endeavor, it must draw upon engineering, architecture, socio-political concerns, and many other professions while still including the thoughtful integration of public participation. And perhaps even more importantly and succinctly, Professor Roddy of MIT points out that planning decisions we make today determine the scope of choices that we have tomorrow. And this commitment to a flexible vision of the future should resonate with those in the space industry as well. So how can an urban planning mindset be useful to the space industry? Well, through solicitation of general input and public feedback, democratizing access to science and research, encouraging inclusion and diversity, empowering people through lively discussion, taking a planning approach to the way we think about future spaceport development, and how those will connect to existing towns, cities, and local environments, as well as the long-term impacts of new interplanetary transportation hubs. And lastly, design of the physical infrastructure and social institutions that we will require off Earth. So specifically, space urban planning will consist of the following key roles: mediating transdisciplinary discussion and ensuring that respectful and balanced progress is being made, establishing the participatory framework that will bring the public along with us to space, provide equitable access to balanced information in a way that is digestible such that no one is required to hold a higher degree to feel empowered to be a part of planning our collective future in space. Space urban planners will also integrate ideas and feedback into actionable design of both the physical and institutional infrastructure of off-Earth communities. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, maintain high levels of engagement through continued participation opportunities. So when I was thinking about what the cultural commons really meant to me, it became quite clear that access to a thriving cultural commons is really a human right. A right of all people everywhere to a beautiful life, which is rich with tradition, celebration of unique identity, connection with the natural world, and inclusion in a collective human experience. Space urban planning and a rigorous approach to public participation will no doubt support and maintain a shared human experience by ensuring that all people are stakeholders in the future of society. So what is public participation and what does it provide? Well, James Crichton defines it as the process by which public concerns, needs, and values are incorporated into governmental and corporate decision-making. And I believe that these are easily extrapolated to our thinking about a successful society off Earth. Participation provides political legitimacy, consensus building, a strong cultural commons that celebrates differences, but also encourages a collective community vision of the future. Participation minimizes cost overruns and delays, improves decision-making, creates a non-adversarial environment, and most importantly, develops a civil society, something I'm sure all of us aspire to see and help create. So how do we achieve this? Well, I'm sure many here are very familiar with Elinor Ostrom and her work revealing that assets such as parks, open land, and other infrastructure could be more efficiently managed through citizen networks. And I think that it is critical that we look to engage and empower citizens in our future plans for space, because it is necessary for a sustained human presence that we look to strengthen a connection between people and place, even in those harshest environments. Additionally, how we manage resources and care for the local environment on the Moon and Mars will also serve to inform how we care about each other as fellow humans. And thus, we see that shared culture can fortify these delicate relationships and bring about social innovation and progress. Another important view of successful participation comes in the form of Sherry Arnstein's ladder of citizen participation, which culminates in the ultimate goal of citizen control and power. She argues for the redistribution of power that enables the have-not citizens presently excluded from the political and economic processes to be deliberately included in the future. And I really want to emphasize that last point because it is an important one. Deliberately included in the future. Marginalized people and communities on Earth are so busy trying to survive and navigate the unjust world that we have created here. And because they are distracted, rightfully so, by their circumstances, they will miss out on opportunities to help shape and build the future. They will be left out of the future if we do not commit now to including them in it. Now, this will not be an easy pursuit, and there are many challenges to creating successful public participation. For one thing, participation looks different to different people. Another is that it is difficult to engage those not typically engaged in the planning process. Marginalized communities will be particularly hard to reach, especially on a topic like space. Another challenge will be design bias of tools and process, something that is already pervasive in the space industry. We'll also have to figure out how to reconcile deep community divisions and scale this effort such that it becomes a global participatory framework. It is that same global network that will need to be activated for implementing the participatory process of space urban planning, mainly broken down into these three groups: network of citizens, network of national points of contact, so your space advocates, your local community leaders, social justice activists, and others that can help organize and engage. And lastly, your network of experts, scientists, engineers, architects, policymakers, etc. And I believe that we can do this through a multi-channel approach that prioritizes accessibility. In part due to the constraints placed on us by COVID-19, humans have adapted and quickly integrated new technologies and ways of working and engaging with others via virtual methods. So we now have an entire basket of innovative tools that continue to be useful after the pandemic, such as virtual debate, virtual town halls, collaborative design, game theory, polling, apps for public comment and debate, such as Parlia, and ethical use of data. It is by no means a perfect process, but we are learning and growing in our capabilities every day. And all of those tools then feed into these various channels. Open data, which can promote innovation when transparency is prioritized, dissemination of balanced information in formats like public fact sheets, and also longer format public briefs and reports. Thin participation methods, which are quick, efficient, digital, and can have meaningful impact when done at scale. So we can pursue these through social media, global surveys, and polls. Thick participation methods are more time-consuming, in-depth, and require effort on both the side of the organizer and also the public, and therefore can have substantial and meaningful impact. So these would be more akin to a design charrette or recurring planning workshops. Lastly, representation will be an important channel because it means that there are activists, community leaders, and even pro bono space lawyers that are informing citizens of their rights, options, and roles in the planning process and representing their best interests throughout. And touching specifically on the global survey channel, it is critical that we pursue this channel among others in order to gather public sentiment at scale. And we have seen this done with the World Watch Institute's State of the World report, the United Nations Development Program, People's Climate Vote results, and the World Economic Forum Global Risks Report. And this leads me to a concept for the Celestial Citizen Global Survey, which would seek to engage the world's population to gather statistically significant data around public sentiment and shared future vision of living, working, and thriving as an interplanetary species. Celestial Citizen is actively seeking partners, collaborators, and sources of funding for this undertaking in order to ensure that national points of contact can be established, opportunities for input are democratized, data can be ethically collected and analyzed, and results can be widely disseminated to the global public. A current project that Celestial Citizen is working on is a podcast that sparks unique conversations with a diverse group of space pioneers, piecing together new and innovative ideas for the future in yet another channel of communication to the broader public. We talk a lot about how space is for everyone, but now we need to actually make space for everyone so that people feel empowered to speak up and take action for our collective future in space. I believe that the future can be better and it must be better Space might be the thing that unites us as one humanity, but participation and a strong cultural commons will be what binds us together against the dark backdrop of the cosmos. Thank you for your time. Please reach out to me directly at BRITT@celestialcitizen.com or visit our website, celestialcitizen.com, to get involved and help fund this effort.